This woman owns a multi-billion-dollar mansion, has stunning looks, and a cute son. Better yet, her ugly husband passed away long ago. Isn't this the ultimate winning life? Too bad the original soul was a total monster who abused her family. Since Mel traveled into this body, she's wanted to make it up to her son. In the original story, the grown-up son would take his revenge personally, and she was the mother who had relentlessly mistreated the child. Having been abused by a drunk father in her past life, Mel knows how much domestic violence scars a child. She must first soothe his trauma. After accepting reality, she immediately asks where Ada is, only to be told the child has fallen ill, and asks if they should handle it like before. Mel asks in confusion what they did before, just locking the door until the young master is fully recovered. Mel couldn't believe the original host was so cruel. She rushes to Ada's room in a rage and sees a weak little figure lying alone on the bed. He doesn't even have a decent blanket. Ada didn't expect his mom to show up now, thinking she was there to scold him. He explains, trembling, that he didn't mean to get sick, apologizing and saying it doesn't hurt and he won't be a bother. The way he looks pierces Mel's heart. It's one thing to read a novel, but seeing Ada like this in person is hard to stomach. She asks the maid why the child is so thin, only to find out Ada hasn't been fed for days. She hurries the maid to get some food. Ada sees his mom approaching and gets even more scared. Mel feels his body is burning up. He's in bad shape. She reaches out to touch his head, and Ada instinctively starts crying and apologizing, repeatedly saying he won't be a burden. Mel can only hold him gently, facing a child who won't stop apologizing. She issues a ban. From today on, you're not allowed to say sorry. A sick child should never have to say sorry. At a time like this, you should be resting, not apologizing. After saying that, Mel looks around. The room is so filthy and no one has cleaned it. Even the drinking water is black. Just then, the maid brings Ada's food, which turns out to be nothing but scraps and leftovers. No one realized that in the original story, this personal maid was the real abuser, far worse than the mother's neglect. Mel slams the tray down and orders the maid to bring food fit for a human. Thus, Mel's revenge on the maid begins. Tens of minutes later, the maid is panting from being run back and forth, while Mel focuses entirely on feeding Ada soup. She knows the boy's heart is full of thorns. To Ada, his mother is a source of pain. He needs someone to guide him properly. Duke Lachia from the original book is the best choice. Ada will only have a better life if he lives with him. All she can do is stay away from Ada. Meanwhile, the maid sent to get medicine hasn't realized her mistress has changed. She thinks this is just a psychological game. She'll wait for the young master to fall for it, then cruelly push him away. Little does she know, she's the one about to be kicked out of the game. Once everything is settled, Mel bluntly tells the maid to leave the estate. Seeing the maid refuse to obey, Mel takes off her own earring and drops it into the maid's hand. So, do you want to be kicked out for stealing from your master? Or will you leave quietly on your own? The maid is terrified by Mel's sudden change and runs away with her tail between her legs. Mel then carries Ada back to her own room, vowing to make him happy every day from now on. After settling Ada, she calls the head maid and tells her to spread the word about the personal maid's theft. Those who bullied Ada won't get off that easy. She also tells the maid to inform everyone. If anyone dares to bully Ada again, she will show no mercy. Early the next morning, Mel heads to Duke Lachia's estate. Is worried Mel is going there without an appointment. The Duke is a cold-blooded and ruthless man. He has rejected countless women before, even in social circles. He is notoriously known. Although Mel heads there with confidence, she's prepared to be rejected. To make him Ada's foster father, she'll do whatever it takes to see him. Soon, the carriage reaches the estate. A knight steps forward to ask if she has an appointment. Mel uses her sheer beauty to give the soldier a little shock. Looks really do come in handy. With a simple claim of having an appointment, the knight believes her, firmly convinced that a woman who looks like an angel wouldn't lie. He then leads Mel to meet the legendary Duke Lachia. To secure a better future for the child, the woman is willing to use her charms to become the Duke's fiancée. On the way here, Mel thought she'd be turned away. She didn't expect to enter the estate so smoothly. When she sees the Duke's face, Mel finally understands why countless girls threw themselves at him. He is unfairly handsome, but his words are chilling. How dare you enter under my name without an appointment? You'd better give me a damn good reason. Mel immediately apologizes. If I didn't do that, you wouldn't see me. But since you knew it was a lie, why did you let me in? The Duke just smiles. Plenty of women have chased me, but you're the first one this bold. You might be beautiful, but if you don't have a satisfying answer, I won't hesitate to ruin your pretty face. He truly is the heartless Duke of the rumors. In the original book, he has zero interest in women and absolutely loathes those who stalk him. She needs a convincing reason for this trip. But knowing the plot, Mel is incredibly confident. At this point, the Duke is still troubled over his lost diamond mine. Mel hits the nail on the head regarding the situation and the info about the spy in the estate that the Duke is desperate to find. She claims she can help him catch that rat and will also give him the rights to develop the mine. She then pulls out the plan she prepared. It records the spy's identity, their contacts, and the information they're about to leak. There's no way the Duke wouldn't want this file, thanks to reading the novel over and over. In her past life, she knows every detail. The Duke sternly asks Mel if the info is reliable. Mel states that it is absolutely true. If the Duke wants this intel, in exchange, he must sign a marriage contract. This is a demand the Duke clearly didn't expect, and it's exactly why Mel came here. Ada happened to run into the Duke. The Duke then took him in as his foster son. But since she's no longer the original host, there's no way she'd kick the child out. This is the only way to ensure Ada still becomes the Duke's son. This deal is a win-win for the Duke. Through a marriage, he can become a co-owner of the mine, and the engagement will expire after 1 year. During this year, they would only be husband and wife in name only. The Duke is currently confident that Mel won't get a shred of love from him. However, he doesn't understand why Mel would sign a contract that seemingly offers her no benefits. Doesn't she want anything from this marriage? Of course, she has an agenda. She just wants him to be the boy's father. But she can't say that out loud yet. So she just tells the Duke. We'll find out later. And so, they reach a preliminary agreement. Mel needs to head home to see the child. After Mel leaves, the Duke lets out a chuckle. What an interesting woman. Maybe giving this a shot isn't such a bad idea. Back home, Mel immediately goes to check on her son, having ordered the maids to move him to a south-facing room. Ada fell asleep after beautiful child theirs. No way she'll let him turn out bad. The only thing she can do now is take good care of him. She goes to the kitchen and whips up all sorts of treats. Just as she puts them in the oven, she hears a loud banging. Mel turns around in confusion to find her late husband's mother. Her mother-in-law didn't care at all about her son's death, but she's been eyeing the fortune he left behind. Mel won't let her touch the inheritance. She takes the woman to the parlor, where the mother-in-law starts criticizing Mel's bright outfit. She says as a widow, she should wear black, even accusing Mel of killing her son. Mel doesn't waste words and gets straight to the point. You didn't come here just to say this, did you? Of course not. I'm here to reclaim my son's inheritance. Do you really think you can stay in this mansion? Mel snaps back. This mansion belongs to me and my son. I happen to be the one named in the will. Hearing this, the woman loses her cool. She's been looking for that will for ages. Mel knows she'll never find it. The original host hid it in an impossible place the moment she got it. That's why Mel has the mansion. The will is in the bank, and I'm sure you can't forge it. In this empire, not even the royal family can mess with the bank. The woman knows this all too well and leaves in a huff. Now that the nuisance is gone, all that's left is to make sure Ada is happy every day. The boy never imagined his mother, who used to be so cold, would suddenly become so kind. While eating dessert, they have completely different reactions. Mel looks at her son, eating, and screams internally at how cute he is. Little Ada thinks that because she's just watching him, she must have lost her appetite because of him. Mel is shocked by his train of thought. It seems the original host scarred Ada deeply. She has to show him she's being genuine. She immediately tells Ada that's not it at all. She apologizes for her past neglect and for letting the maids bully him, promising it'll never happen again. I know it's hard, but please give me one more chance. Ada is overwhelmed by his mother's sudden kindness. Mel even prepared a brand new bib for him. He happily accepts it. It's the first gift he's ever received from his mom. He looks adorable in it. He doesn't know why his mom changed so much, but he feels incredibly happy and hopes for more days like this. The next day, Mel arrives at the Duke's estate on time. She had visited the spy's hideout before, but the person was very cautious and left after Mel entered. She could only write down the details from memory. To prevent the spy from catching on, Mel decides to go catch him herself today. Unexpectedly, the Duke wants to come along. Mel is surprised. Shouldn't he be busy? He says he's free despite a mountain of paperwork. He really seems to want to go. With her consent, the Duke is all smiles. The two arrive at a casino. Mel guesses the target is in the second-floor VIP room, but when they try to go up, they are stopped. The Duke pulls Mel close. What? My wife can't come up with me. Mel is relieved she brought him along. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gotten in. But, standing at the door, Mel gets nervous. She's not sure she can pull this off. It involves the survival of the Duke's family and Ada's future. If this goes well and she marries the Duke, Ada can finally become his foster son. Just as Mel builds up her courage to enter, the Duke stops her and kicks the door open. The man inside sees the Duke and tries to make a break for it, but the Duke corners him. In a panic, he grabs Mel, who had been knocked to the ground, and uses her to threaten the Duke. Seeing Mel captured, the Duke freezes. The spy is now convinced Mel is someone important to him. Using her as a hostage is his best shot at killing the Duke. Since his identity is blown, he's dead anyway. He immediately tells the Duke to close his eyes and turn around. The Duke realizes the danger, the situation is terrible, and he could lose his life. But for some reason, he cares more about Mel not getting hurt. Suddenly, the spy shoves Mel aside and lunges at the Duke. To Mel, this mission must succeed at all costs. Even if she gets hurt, she moves with the spy and blocks the knife aimed at the Duke. Seeing Mel wounded, the Duke snaps. He pins the spy down and tells Mel to leave. He wants to handle this personally. He doesn't want her to see his brutal side. In his rage, he kills the man before even interrogating him. Since when did he become someone who couldn't control his emotions? But Mel's injury is more important right now. He doesn't get why she'd take a knife for him. Mel doesn't know how to explain it either. She can't exactly say it was for Ada, so she says she just likes his face and didn't want such a handsome face to get scarred. With those words, the Duke is officially smitten. The cold and brutal Duke falls in love for the first time, thinking he has some terminal illness. Even his subordinates wonder if he's about to kill someone because of that weird smile. After Mel's wound is bandaged, the Duke just stares at her departing carriage. Plenty of girls have called him handsome before, but this is the first time it's ever made him this flustered. He has no idea what to do with himself. Give me one more chance. Ada is overwhelmed by his mother's sudden kindness. Mel even prepared a brand new bib for him. He happily accepts it. It's the first gift he's ever received from his mom. He looks adorable in it. He doesn't know why his mom changed so much, but he feels incredibly happy and hopes for more days like this. The next day, Mel arrives at the Duke's estate on time. She had visited the spy's hideout before, but the person was very cautious and left after Mel entered. She could only write down the details from memory. To prevent the spy from catching on, Mel decides to go catch him herself today. Unexpectedly, the Duke wants to come along. Mel is surprised. Shouldn't he be busy? He says he's free despite a mountain of paperwork. He really seems to want to go. With her consent, the Duke is all smiles. The two arrive at a casino. Mel guesses the target is in the second-floor VIP room, but when they try to go up, they are stopped. The Duke pulls Mel close. What? My wife can't come up with me. Mel is relieved she brought him along. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gotten in. But, standing at the door, Mel gets nervous. She's not sure she can pull this off. It involves the survival of the Duke's family and Ada's future. If this goes well and she marries the Duke, Ada can finally become his foster son. Just as Mel builds up her courage to enter, the Duke stops her and kicks the door open. The man inside sees the Duke and tries to make a break for it, but the Duke corners him. In a panic, he grabs Mel, who had been knocked to the ground, and uses her to threaten the Duke. Seeing Mel captured, the Duke freezes. The spy is now convinced Mel is someone important to him. Using her as a hostage is his best shot at killing the Duke. Since his identity is blown, he's dead anyway. He immediately tells the Duke to close his eyes and turn around. The Duke realizes the danger. The situation is terrible, and he could lose his life. But for some reason, he cares more about Mel not getting hurt. Suddenly, the spy shoves Mel aside and lunges at the Duke. To Mel, this mission must succeed at all costs. Even if she gets hurt, she moves with the spy and blocks the knife aimed at the Duke. Seeing Mel wounded, the Duke snaps. He pins the spy down and tells Mel to leave. He wants to handle this personally. He doesn't want her to see his brutal side. In his rage, he kills the man before even interrogating him. Since when did he become someone who couldn't control his emotions? But Mel's injury is more important right now. He doesn't get why she'd take a knife for him. Mel doesn't know how to explain it either. She can't exactly say it was for Ada, so she says she just likes his face and didn't want such a handsome face to get scarred. With those words, the Duke is officially smitten. The cold and brutal Duke falls in love for the first time, thinking he has some terminal illness. Even his subordinates wonder if he's about to kill someone because of that weird smile. After Mel's wound is bandaged, the Duke just stares at her departing carriage. Plenty of girls have called him handsome before, but this is the first time it's ever made him this flustered. He has no idea what to do with himself. It's just a contract marriage. Given her family background and being a widow, she doesn't think she deserves this. Both mother and son frown at those words. The Duke, who just yesterday said he wouldn't fall in love, is now acting like a peacock. Seeing Mel's lack of confidence, he steps up to comfort her. The mother-in-law also disagrees with Mel's self-depreciation. Status and marriage don't define you, and this family won't tolerate those who don't respect others. As long as my son truly loves you, I will love you unconditionally. This is a mother's promise. Mel feels a warmth she's never known. Marriage was a luxury to her in her past life. Her existence was defined by a broken home and an abusive, alcoholic father. She used to think being alone was the best choice. But now, she's starting to waver. If she had a mother like Lynn, she would have been so happy. Exactly. The Duke immediately makes his stance clear. After we marry, my family will be yours. We'll all be family to each other. If you're willing, why don't we extend the contract? Say for 100 years. Wouldn't it be a shame to only be family for one? Mel didn't expect this sudden request, so she changes the subject, pulling out an invitation. She asks if he wants to go together, but he looks like he never got one. The mood gets awkward. Mel tentatively asks if he didn't receive an invite, only to find out he threw it away as soon as it arrived. She says she'll find someone else to go with. She doesn't want him attending a party he hates because of her. But there's no way. The Duke is letting his lady go with someone else. Who are you going to take if not me? Better to take me than someone else. Mel has no rebuttal to that. With that settled, she's suddenly drawn to the gun at the Duke's waist. It was mentioned in the novel, but seeing the real thing is different. In her past life, she'd fantasized about shooting her father. Countless times, never thinking her own end would be so sudden. The Duke notices Mel's perfect stance with the gun. It seems his lady is quite interested. He takes the gun and infuses it with rings. Rings are powerful substances emitted by a caster's body. They have massive destructive potential. Using rings as bullets, they return to the body after passing through the target. But not everyone has them. In the novel, it took Ada 8 years to get 3, while the Duke's current count is shocking. Mel stares at the rings. He asks in confusion, are these rings more attractive than my face? His expression and tone make him look even more like a puppy to Mel. She can't help but pet his head. The Duke realizes Mel is treating him like a pet dog. Though, he complains, his ears are already bright red. Mel doesn't return to her estate until evening. She brought back sweets for Ada specifically. He's so thin, he needs to eat more. When she knocks, the little guy looks secretive. Was he doing something before she interrupted? She shows him the treats she brought. Certain he'll love them. Sure enough, as soon as Ada takes a bite, he's happy. He said it was delicious and even wanted me to have a bite. I was so moved. Even though Ada doesn't fully trust me yet, he's trying so hard to reach out. I have to properly honor his bravery. I leaned in and took a bite of the cake he offered. Ada's eyes instantly lit up. He happily finished the rest of the pudding. I then asked him to go to the garden and play on the swings. Hearing that, the little guy's face went pale. This woman has billions in inheritance, a mother-in-law who loves giving her money, and a cute kid. Too bad the original host was an abuser who even destroyed her son's favorite swing. It left such a deep scar on Ada that even after becoming emperor, he went back to the estate to build his own swing. Knowing Ada's fate in the book makes my heart ache. Luckily, I fixed the swing for him just in time, hoping to heal his trauma. Sure enough, Ada was overjoyed when he saw it. But a proper apology is still necessary. I promised him I'd never let anything hurt him again. To my surprise, Ada had a gift for me too. In his hurry to get it, he tripped over a rock. I rushed over to check on him. Despite his scraped, red knee, the little guy insisted he was fine. I totally get how he feels. In my past life, I was the same way, hiding my pain out of fear of getting yelled at. I held him gently, as if hugging my younger self. With me, you don't have to hide your pain. It's not your fault. Next time, speak up. I'll give Ada all the love he deserves. Such a sweet kid shouldn't be ruined by childhood trauma. I nudged him to head back and clean the wound. Suddenly, he shouted, "Can you hold my hand?" When I said yes, he beamed. Maybe he's always craved a mother's love. Back in the room, he shyly hid his hands behind his back. I made this just now. I'm not sure if you'll like it. I happily patted his head. Anything from our Ada I'll love. But when he handed me a rose, I was stunned. Had he been working on this all these days? Compared to a handmade gift, anything I did felt trivial. Ada was so happy to see me smile. The next day, I went to the Duke's estate with a formal contract. He was annoyed that I jumped straight into business, but then he noticed the milk tea I'd specially prepared. I served you plain tea before, and you never touched it. You really do like sweets. I made this specifically for you. Do you like it? I didn't expect him to be so happy over a cup of milk tea. I urged him to sign the contract. Now that this is settled, the next step is helping Ada manifest his rings. The Duke is the perfect teacher. Most in his family can manifest rings. Those who can't are ostracized. In the novel, it took Ada 8 years to get 3, and only 7 by the time he was emperor. The Duke has far more. If I'm right, even those outside the family can manifest them. I want the Duke to teach me so I can help Ada. He took the chance to set a condition. Kiss me every afternoon, and I'll teach you. I just rolled my eyes. The Duke is quite the joker now. He didn't get his kiss, but he agreed anyway, just to spend more time with me. I also learned there are only 3 others in the estate who can use rings. One of them is the teacher from the novel. I want to meet them. The Duke grumbled about his private time getting interrupted, but we'll meet anyway after we're married. So just introduce me now. Finally, he gave in to my puppy eyes. Nobody expected His Highness to go from single to taken in just 1 week. Ross studied the letter in disbelief. They concluded this must be a cover for a new alliance, because His Highness would never actually like a woman. But then, they were shocked. Not only did he show up with a woman, He was grinning from ear to ear. This has to be a dream. The Duke ignored them and introduced Mel. According to the original book, Shizert had silver hair, which these two clearly don't. I waited for the Duke to finish the introduction and looked back in confusion. Didn't I ask you to introduce us? They can just call me whatever, but they don't know what to say. They just shout, "Hey Mel." He's driving her absolutely crazy. The Duke finally introduced Commander Ross, but as for Ruger, he still didn't mention a word. After Mel and the Duke left, the two sat on the ground, completely baffled. Did something happen to His Highness while I was away? Do you really think His Highness would have something happen to him? Ross sighed helplessly. After 10 years as a commander, he still doesn't get it. Unexpectedly, Ruger mocked him, saying after 10 years, he only has one ring. Just as the two were arguing, a silver-haired man walked in. A few days later, Mel arrived at Helen's banquet. Luckily, she had brushed up on the noble's information a few days ago. Among them, there was a very strange letter. Since it was anonymous, she has no idea who sent it. Just then, a woman interrupted Mel's thoughts. Mel recognized her as Lady Neffel. She immediately asked if Mel was getting married. This question was expected, but she didn't think people would gossip behind her back, saying she was using marriage to climb into high society. Mel directly stated her fiancé is the Duke, which sparked even more gossip among the onlookers. Lady Neffel led Mel away. Mel didn't know if Lady Neffel was friend or foe, and not wanting to be caught in the middle, she made an excuse to leave. Then she saw a familiar man. The crest was from the Black family. She didn't recall meeting him, so why did he look so familiar? While thinking, the man actually walked straight over. Are you wondering if we've met before? For a moment, Mel didn't know what to do, but in the book, her original character had never met this man. I'm sorry, there's no way we've met. The man then apologized and left, but Mel still felt this person was very familiar. Could it be because he resembles her father? Suddenly, her hand was grabbed by the Duke. Mel awkwardly pulled back, telling the Duke not to do this in public. But I missed you. Mel was speechless. We literally just saw each other yesterday. A day apart feels like 3 years. He then happily held his wife's hand, facing everyone's stares. Mel shyly told the Duke to be more low-key. The Duke didn't care at all. What does it matter? No matter what I am yours. These words made Mel blush even more. She stuttered, asking the Duke to go somewhere else since too many people were watching. Don't tell me you're afraid of being seen by that wrinkled, pot-bellied, ugly man. You seemed very interested in him, and you even spoke to him. Only then did Mel realize what was going on with the Duke. She didn't expect him to be jealous of a pot-bellied, middle-aged man. She quickly explained they had no connection. Looking amusedly at the puppy-like Duke, she said, in that case, just focus on me and don't think about anything else. The Duke, who said he'd never love again, is finally eating his words. Now he's even jealous of an old man. His love-struck behavior stunned everyone. Mel followed the Duke to the balcony and asked why he was so late. The Duke explained he was delayed by some business. He was looking for something, but ultimately didn't find it. If it's what he's looking for, it must be the shadow, which is a corrupted ring. Unlike normal rings, it cannot return to the user's hand. Once it touches a normal ring, it will cling to it until it drains all its energy. The Duke is investigating this, but he came to the party to see Haley. Why hasn't he seen her yet? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw her. Mel hurriedly went to find her, completely forgetting the Duke's presence. Knowing Mel was going to see the key figure for the mine, he mischievously made her agree to one condition before leaving. That is, to put your lips on mine. Mel was instantly flustered and her heart raced. Meanwhile, Lady Neffel, standing behind them, saw everything. She thought it was just a temporary act, but Mel seems to really love the Duke. But the word love is a far cry from Mel's old image. Although she doesn't know why, she prefers the current Mel. In the end, Mel still refused the Duke's request for a kiss. Just then, Ruger appeared and interrupted their conversation. Mel used it as an excuse to leave and found Haley in the ballroom. The two politely greeted each other. Mel noticed Haley's gaze was fixed on the man standing in the middle, who was Dawson. As expected, Haley definitely dislikes him. It has reached a point where she hardly control her expression. Mel wanted to find another place to talk, but Haley kept staring ahead. Then she suddenly looked back and asked Mel about her marriage. It seems you and the Duke are very close. Mel was puzzled how she knew. It's because the Duke hasn't taken his eyes off you, looking quite pitiful too. Mel awkwardly suggested they move elsewhere. And so, the two went to the drawing room. Mel directly asked Haley if she wanted to take over the family. Haley was startled by the sudden question. Calm down, I just think you'll win. I think you're better suited for this position. Haley confessed she's still considering it and asked Mel if she could actually get her that seat. I promise to give you what you want. But in exchange, the mine Dawson took, if it ends up in your hands, you hand it over to me. Within a year, I'll help you get that position. Haley accepted Mel's terms, and a partnership was formed. Elsewhere, the Duke has become a lovelorn statue, completely ignoring Ruger's complaints. I don't want to talk to anyone who interrupts my date with my wife. Ruger now deeply regrets showing up here. Suddenly, a shadow appeared above the ballroom. The Duke immediately shifted into work mode, ordering Ruger to stay and take Mel home. When Mel came out after finishing her business, she only saw Ruger. She guessed they must have found a trace of the shadow, hence the sudden departure. Sure enough, Ruger confirmed it. If I had gone with Suzette, it would be better, but I have to stay and look after you, ma'am. Her? Mel looked flustered and quickly explained. Suzette is there. Night. Mel isn't jealous. She just wants to find a teacher for her son. Also, Suzette is her second favorite character from the original book. She regretted not meeting him last time and asked Ruger for an introduction. She just wanted to see him first. The girl finally saw her beloved character. Led by Ruger, she arrived at Suzette's house. Mel stepped in before Ruger got hit. In the original, Suzette became Ada's teacher and also a very good brother, but he's also quite elusive. Suzette asked in confusion who Mel was. Before she could answer, Ruger ruthlessly blurted it out. If you're so mean to her, you'll regret it later. Mel quickly stepped forward to introduce herself. Today, your mission is to accompany Miss Mel on a tour of the Blessed Land. In his night uniform, he looked even more handsome. Ruger worried he would blame himself for the mission's failure. Took this chance to let him go out for a walk. However, Suzette really looked just like the description in the original book. Unexpectedly, it was incredibly awkward once they went out together. She had to use the Duke as a topic, asking if he's been busy lately. She didn't expect the Duke and Suzette's words to be completely different from the one she knew. During their search, they found a dark magic stone mine. This is a very precious resource in the novel, but unfortunately, most of the mine is depleted, and the compatibility between the ore and the rings is very poor. It would require too much time and money, so there's no point in further development. Hearing this, Mel suddenly became confident. Her previous deal with Haley could come in handy. Perhaps I can give the Duke a gift very soon. Seeing such a brilliant smile, Suzette suddenly looked down. He blushed where Mel couldn't see. For a split second, I felt like I saw something. Mel, however, thought Suzette was probably tired and just hallucinating. A few days later, her former mother-in-law came for the will again. This time, Mel was fully prepared. The woman snatched the will from Mel's hand and, without a word, tore it to shreds. Mel was unusually calm. Stop tearing it. That's a fake. That was just a copy. This is the real one. Do you want to see the bank storage records? The woman became even more enraged and kept cursing at Mel. Mel stopped holding back. You should know the person I'm about to marry is the Duke. According to noble etiquette, you must now treat me as you would the Duchess. To give her child a better life. The woman found him an incredibly wealthy stepfather, yet the former mother-in-law still dared to act out. Mel wasn't being nice anymore and played the fiancé card. The only reason I'm seeing you is because there's something I want from you. The woman was a bit surprised, not knowing what Mel wanted. Mel thought about how to get her to agree to the terms. First is the clearance to enter the Nixon kingdom. Second is the custody of Ada. The woman didn't expect all Mel wanted was this. Entry rights aren't worth much, and Ada is useless to her. Seeing the woman remain silent, Mel offered a trade. Instead of just asking, the woman was secretly overjoyed, but she still feigned difficulty. You know, these two things are very important to me. What will you give in exchange? Mel was prepared, thinking of the abandoned mine Suzette mentioned. The Duke has a dark magic stone mine. How about I trade that? The woman looked utterly disbelief. You're giving me a magic stone mine? Secretly, she mocked Mel for not knowing the value of the mine and using this for a trade. Afraid Mel would back out, she immediately agreed and told a maid to quickly get a contract. Mel was happy too. Reaching her goal peacefully was fine. A few days later, Mel's recent work was mostly handled. The only thing bothering her was how to tell Ada about the remarriage. If she just introduced them, it would be too sudden. Ada might find it hard to accept. She couldn't find a good way. Things had been going smoothly for months. If she just told Ada the truth, he'd accept it, right? That afternoon, Mel called. The little guy's eyes lit up at the sight of desserts. He took a satisfied bite. Mel was happy Ada liked the cake. Then, she saw some leftover cake on his lip. She reached out to wipe it off, but the little guy reflexively avoided her gaze and started shaking. Mel awkwardly pulled back and gave him a handkerchief to wipe it himself. The moment he saw the handkerchief, Ada finally broke down, turning all his recent anxiety into tears. Mel was panicked and asked what was wrong. Ada sobbed, saying, "You're so good to me. Why were you like that before?" Heartbroken, Mel wiped his tears. For Ada, he didn't know his mother's soul had changed. He must have been confused but held it in until now. Ada, Mommy is so sorry. Back then, Mommy lost her husband, and that's why I treated you like that. From now on, that kind of thing will never happen again. I promise you are my most precious treasure. The little guy cried in his mother's arms for a long time. After he stopped and wiped his tears, Mel felt it was time to tell Ada. We'll have a new family member soon. Ada was confused about what that meant, but his mother told him she was marrying a very good man. He's a very lovely person and will be a great father. But if you don't want a new father, you can tell me. The little guy firmly shook his head. It's okay. I think he'll be an angelic person just like Mommy. In that case, can we go see him together? The next day, Mel took her son to the Duke's mansion. Ada was so nervous his limbs were shaking. Mel saw how cute her son was. The little guy even insisted he wasn't nervous. Soon, they arrived at their destination. Mel carried her son off the carriage. The Duke was already waiting, but he jealously said, "If only you could be as close with me." This made Ada very suspicious of his future stepfather. Was Mommy serious about him being a kind person? The jealous Duke was jealous again, and of his future son no less. This made little Ada doubt his mother's words. They sat at the table prepared. Earlier, Ada was uneasy because the chair didn't fit. Mel then invited her son to sit on her lap. Ada hesitated, thinking it improper, but his mother pulled him onto her lap. Right after she did this, Mel felt a pair of eyes staring intently. Seeing Mel look over, the Duke immediately smiled. But Ada saw his previous expression. He noticed his stepfather looking terrifying. He thought his impolite behavior must have made the man hate him. But the truth was, little Ada was overthinking it. This future stepfather was just incredibly jealous. A second later, he showed his true colors. He told Mel how much he looked forward to seeing Ada and couldn't wait to know more. How about letting him sit on my lap? Believe me, I can take good care of him. Ada didn't expect this turn of events. Even though his stepfather looked scary, he chose to believe his mother. Mommy said his stepfather was a kind man, and he can tell the Duke really loves his mommy. Eventually, he agreed to the request. The Duke successfully got Ada to sit on his lap. This skillful handling made Mel claim to be good at everything while bringing Ada his favorite macarons. This scene made Mel firmly believe he would be a great father. They even looked quite alike. As if they were biological father and son, he wiped the crumbs from Ada's lip. Ada gradually let go of his fear. The three chatted happily until the desserts were gone, and little Ada fell asleep in his father's arms. "I think our son is tired." He called a maid to take Ada to a room to sleep. The two then went to the garden for a stroll. The Duke asked Mel what flowers she liked, but got an answer about putting a swing in the garden because that was Ada's favorite. This made the already jealous Duke even more so. But what could he do? That was his son too. So he asked Mel if she liked this garden. "Yes, it feels different from where I walked with Suzette last time." The Duke's face instantly darkened. "How did I not know about this?" Mel explained Ruger had escorted her, not wanting to worry Mel. The Duke suppressed his urge to punch someone. "I think I'm just nervous because you're by my side. Our hands touch from time to time. You must be tired after walking so long. Let's go somewhere relaxing. There's a secret area in that garden." Hearing this, Mel was instantly interested. It was mentioned in the novel. To help her son master magic early, the girl asked her fiancé to teach her. Unexpectedly, a casual attempt summoned a rare golden magic ring. In the original book, Ada practiced for 8 years to summon one, undergoing agonizing training. He often hid and cried in a secret corner of a garden. This is where the Duke was taking Mel. It really was a beautiful spot. The Duke explained there was a seat, while Mel was hesitantly looking at the single seat. Wondering if she should sit, the Duke had already sat down. "Weren't you going to let me sit here?" The Duke smiled and patted his lap. "I think you should just sit here." He pulled Mel into his arms. "I'm so lucky to have met you." As he spoke, a necklace appeared on Mel's neck. Mel looked at it, puzzled, and asked what it was. "This is a wedding gift for you. I hope you like it." Mel sensed the power of the ring inside. She remembered asking the Duke to teach her last time and asked if he remembered. "Of course, I remember everything you say." Mel was instantly shy. How could the Duke always say such romantic things without even blinking? At Mel's request, the Duke decided to teach her how to use it today. Actually, he had prepared a gift for her training long ago. Mel looked at this pair of matching pistols, wondering if she should bring him some homemade cookies next time. The Duke admitted he was born knowing how to use it and wasn't as good at teaching as Suzette, but he would never let Suzette teach Mel. Mel was speechless, not knowing why the Duke was so hostile towards Suzette. The Duke simply showed Mel how to use her soul. "Like this? Is that it?" Mel was confused. "That's it." She didn't even know how to summon her soul. The Duke suggested she fire a few shots first to get a feel for it, thinking about how it took Ada 8 years. She figured it wouldn't be that easy. She raised the gun and, following the Duke's instructions, felt for that sensation and pulled the trigger. To their surprise, a golden ring actually circled nearby. Mel looked at her hand in disbelief. A single try actually worked. The next day, Mel returned home to process everything that happened. Things were going too smoothly, which made her uneasy. The current developments had already gone beyond the original story. She felt something big was coming. While she was thinking, a maid suddenly screamed. Seeing the maid's pale face, "It's bad, His Majesty the Emperor." Before the maid could finish, she was pushed aside by the person who followed. "Mel, I've come for you." She thought she could lead a peaceful married life, but the original villain came to her door. Facing the Emperor, she could only greet him, but he pulled her close. "I remembered that cat that ran away years ago. I'll deal with that cat later." Mel was completely confused by the Emperor's words. He compared her to that cat. Did the original owner know the Emperor? As the villain of the story, he also possessed a corrupted ring, keeping the Duke and Ada in check. But the novel never mentioned Mel knowing the Emperor. While she was thinking, he pulled her closer by the waist. It's been a while. You've become even more beautiful. He picked her up despite Mel's demands. To put her down. Obviously, I didn't come to pick you up. Instead, I'm here to kidnap you. Just like that, they went to the drawing room. Mel still didn't understand what was happening. She had to find out the relationship between the original owner and the Emperor. Based on the escaping cat comment, she inferred their relationship was poor. It's better to pretend not to know him for now. Suddenly, he moved closer again. Can you look at this? He put his finger on Mel's chin. A ring also appeared in the Emperor's hand. Mel couldn't understand what this had to do with her. Instantly, the number of rings multiplied and moved to Mel's hand. The Emperor was delighted. Just as expected, you can use the ring. Only then did Mel realize the original owner could use it too, and her ring was a pure gold. So the Emperor had been using Mel's ring to purify his corrupted one. In the original story, before inheriting the throne, the Emperor didn't have a high rank. But, suddenly, he gained immense power and overwhelming support to successfully inherit the throne. At the time, Mel wondered how he did it. But if he used Mel's power in the novel, very few people can use the ring. Mel guessed she was one of them, discovered and exploited by him. But the original owner didn't want to be used, so she hurriedly married her late husband Marshall. Easily go after Mel as the Emperor. Now that Marshall was dead, the Emperor finally showed up. Then, Mel looked at her hand and discovered that the ring had actually evolved. The Emperor was very smug. It seems your ring still remembers me. This situation was not optimistic, and the Emperor wouldn't let Mel go easily. Still, she stated it was time to leave. The Emperor suddenly grabbed Mel's hand. I'm not finished yet. It seems pets become disobedient after wandering too long. Even so, I won't let you go. I don't know what you're planning by marrying the Duke. That man, known for having zero interest in women, couldn't possibly love you. So it must be a contract marriage. The only person who truly loves you is me. Mel knew this. Display of affection was just to use her. These men always love talking about feelings. Just like her gambling addict father in her past life, who always played the emotional card for his own interests. Now, she didn't want to be hurt or tortured anymore. She had the Duke by her side now. Just as he said, they would become a family. There were people who truly cared for her in this world. She then pulled her hand back decisively. Sorry, I can't agree with you, Your Majesty, because I know someone else truly loves me. At this moment, the girl finally realized the Duke was the person she wanted to be with forever. Facing the Emperor's threat, she didn't hesitate. However, the Emperor didn't take Mel's words seriously. Thinking she was just being petty, Mel really didn't want to talk to him anymore. Just as she was in a dilemma, there was noise outside. Then, the Duke burst in frantically. Mel was confused. How did he know she was there? What are you doing here? I've been looking for you for a long time. Mel saw this as the perfect time to show the Emperor their relationship. She grabbed the Duke's arm. I was just about to go back and find you. The Duke's mind went blank. Their intimate conversation annoyed the Emperor. Didn't you see me here when you walked in? The Duke looked toward the Emperor. My apologies, I didn't see you. But you roughly dragged away my fiancé. Are you trying to ruin the generational harmony between the duchy and the crown? I hope this doesn't happen a second time. He then held Mel and walked away, leaving a frustrated Emperor behind. Mel got into the carriage the Duke prepared, but she kept wondering what the original owner wanted. This might become a hidden danger. Then, the Duke's hand suddenly touched Mel's face. There's something on your face. He asked what she and the Emperor talked about. Next time he bothers you, just shoot him. I'll handle the rest. Mel didn't expect the Duke would go against the imperial family for her. Why are you doing all this? For me? Because you're my wife, of course. But we're only a contract couple for 1 year. Even so, we're still a couple. I will always love my wife until the contract ends. Hearing this, Mel's cheeks burned. How did you know I was in the palace? The Duke pointed to the necklace. I sensed something filthy coming for you. Mel touched the necklace. It seems the Duke left his power inside. Your maid told me everything that happened. Expect the Emperor to be that shadow magician. I've been looking for him for a long time. Mel thought of the novel. The Duke found out the dark magician's identity, but never continued the investigation. A long time ago, the Duke's family had a deal with the royals, which secured their throne. But it didn't specify what the payment was. Maybe the Duke knows. Mel soon arrived home and thanked the Duke for his help. Don't mention such a trivial matter, because we are a couple. Yet, her heart raced when Mel called his name. Meanwhile, the Emperor couldn't believe it. He always thought they were just a contract couple. But seeing the Duke's frantic state, it was clear he truly loved Mel. He smiled wickedly. This is better. I can use Mel to get even more. No one could believe the Empire's strongest magician was jealous over a bag of cookies. After the recent incident, Mel wanted to thank the Duke. She was making cookies for Ada today and decided to make extra for him. But the molds the maid brought were heart-shaped. She only hoped the Duke wouldn't overthink it. A moment later, Mel packed the cookies and went to the Duke's mansion. She told the guards she wanted to surprise the Duke and asked them not to announce her. But as she walked in, met with Ruger, then Ross also arrived. Mel thought that since there were plenty of cookies, she wanted to give some to the knights to try. Ross was thrilled because his favorite thing is sweets, but because His Highness doesn't like them, we rarely eat any. Hearing this, Mel froze. So the Duke doesn't like sweets? Ruger added from the side, it is not just a dislike, it is more like he hates them. So Mel handed all the remaining cookies to Ross. Since the Duke doesn't like sweets, take these as a gift for everyone. Guess I will have to think of another gift. Only after Mel left did the Duke come out. He had just sensed Mel was here and came looking for her, not expecting she would leave so soon. He regretted not coming out sooner. Just then, Ross ran over happily, holding a basket of cookies, saying excitedly, Mel is truly amazing. I have never had such delicious cookies. He completely failed to notice his master's face had already turned dark. Looking up, he saw the Duke gritting his teeth. Are these the cookies Mel gave you? Eating these should give you plenty of energy, right? It looks like next week's training plan needs to be intensified. Ross now feels unbelievably regretful. Why did he have to come and show off? Ruger also complained about how he suddenly lost his mind. Behind them, the Duke thought of a way to make Mel stay. On the other side, it was a cozy afternoon tea time. Ada was obediently tasting the cookies Mom made with love. Suddenly remembering something, he looked up. Mom, a few days ago the maid read me a fairy tale about a witch who let her child get fat and then ate him. Mel was instantly amused. Do you think if you get fat, I will eat you? I would never eat such a cute son. You are so cute and sensible. You will definitely become a great adult in the future, bravely fighting against evil. In the original story, Ada was always trapped by his appearance, but now she will not let that happen. Children should eat well and grow up steadily. Ada was very moved after hearing this and promised he would protect Mom. Mom changed so much because of Dad's death. I hope Mom never experiences pain again. I will always protect you. Mel felt Ada's growth. Mom will always protect you too. That night, Mel was in her room organizing recent events. She also needed to create a plan to change Ada's guardian. At that moment, the necklace the Duke gave her suddenly vibrated. Mel stood up immediately. The fluctuations represented that the Duke was nearby. Sure enough, the next second, the puppy-like Duke burst through the door. Since he didn't get any cookies, the puppy-like Duke went to his fiancée to act spoiled. Piteously, he said, when I went to find you, I found you had already left. You didn't even glance at me, yet you left delicious cookies for all the knights. This outburst of grievances left Mel confused. She clearly gave them away after learning the Duke doesn't eat sweets. But the Duke continued his complaint. I was even teased by Ruger and the others. Your Highness is the only one who didn't get to eat Lady Mel's cookies. Mel hurriedly explained, I heard that you hate eating sweets. To her surprise, the Duke arrogantly stated he didn't hate them at all. If you feel guilty, then give me a hug. This entitled tone was flatly rejected by Mel. This time I just didn't know. Next time I make a mistake, I will apologize voluntarily. Then, Mel took the initiative to discuss making Haley the head of the house. Unexpectedly, the Duke became even unhappier, talking business while he was feeling hurt. This time, I am truly sad. Ignoring his whining, Mel continued to talk about the magic mines. I also negotiated with my former mother-in-law to exchange visiting rights to the Kingdom of Nixon for the magic stone mine you recently found. The Duke was surprised. A worthless coal mine could actually be exchanged for visiting rights. It was worth it. He was so happy that he didn't even look at the terms in the contract. The Duke couldn't help but feel proud that his wife was so capable. Ever since with you, everything has become simple. This makes me want to be with you even more. However, the Duke's sweet talk sounded to Mel like he just valued her usefulness. The Duke wanted to continue getting her help, but if that was the case, being sad over work was pointless. Just then, the Duke spoke up. If I give the mine to you, what will you give me in return? Facing the Duke's sudden approach, Mel's heart raced and her face flushed. Her feelings for the Duke were very strange now, but in the original story, the Duke did not fall in love with any woman. She should give up on such unrealistic thoughts. Perhaps the Duke was just fulfilling a contract. After some hesitation, she agreed to bake some more cookies for the Duke. The puppy-like Duke gladly accepted. A few days later, Mel visited again with the freshly baked cookies, only to be told that the Duke had found a clue about the shadow. Mel immediately thought of the original plot where the Duke discovered the shadows. Controller was the Emperor and stopped the investigation. Now things have deviated from the original story, and the information she knew was no longer useful. Perhaps this way, the Duke would lose interest in her next time. But this was clearly just a transaction. Why was she still a bit sad? Since the Duke isn't here, can I practice with you guys? Ruger immediately said he was the best at teaching people. This remark caused dissatisfaction from Sizit, who immediately drew a sword to strike. Ruger acted polite on the surface, but quickly intercepted Sizit's attack. Your attack style is still so simple, always a straight line shot. His smug look made Sizit even more annoyed. Did you see that? Shooting like this can disable your ring. However, Mel didn't want to learn how to aim. Then she heard Ruger suggest a match between her and Sizit. The winner can get one condition granted. This was exactly what Mel wanted. If she won, she could make Sizit hand over Ada. Then Ruger immediately brought popcorn and stepped aside. The man always appears suddenly to give his wife a surprise. Under Ruger's moderation, the two started the competition. The goal was to see who could find more rings. Mel immediately went into the woods to search, feeling her chances of winning weren't great. Sizit could use the rings skillfully and was much more familiar with the training grounds terrain. Even so, Mel did not plan to give up, so she searched even more diligently. She accidentally walked near a warehouse, thinking maybe a ring would be inside, and went in. Unexpectedly, the inside was covered in dust, looking as if it hadn't been used for a long time. Fortunately, she did indeed find a ring inside, but she saw something unexpected. In the corner, a shadow was actually hovering. Mel realized the spy had infiltrated the Duke's house, but there was nothing about a spy in the original story. Original plot. She thought she must tell the Duke when he gets back. Just then, the hovering ring suddenly flew out the door, so Mel ran out after it. She found the shadow absorbing the rings thrown by Ruger. Seeing this, Mel immediately aimed at the rings, thinking if she found one more she would win, when she was suddenly pulled into a warm embrace. Mel was startled, not expecting the Duke to show up so suddenly. Mel told him about her recent discovery. The Duke then told Mel that if she encounters a shadow in the future, she shouldn't touch it. Mel was surprised that the Duke didn't seem worried at all. Perhaps he already knew about it. She then mentioned her bet with Sizit. The Duke immediately promised to help Mel win. I know where another one is. What kind of place is that? The Duke told her it was the underground warehouse. Supposedly, it houses the family heirlooms. Since we are going to be family anyway, there is nothing you can't see. Mel didn't expect that she could just look at the heirlooms whenever she wanted. She suggested finding the rings first. To her surprise, the Duke didn't care at all and hoped Sizit would be late getting here. He smiled and pushed open the door. These are the treasures passed down through the family for generations. Everyone only knows them as gifts from the imperial family, but they are actually magic tools. The rings of the family ancestors are locked inside. Ever since the empire was established, the imperial family feared the family rings. They gathered commoners who found rings and formed a knight order, but the entire order was helpless against the Duke's family. So the imperial family imposed restrictions, locking the ancestors' rings inside. If anyone coveted the throne, the family bloodline would be cursed. However, I did not put my ring in there. Although many people objected, they couldn't do anything against my power. Mel recalled that in the original story, nothing happened when Ada became emperor. Perhaps it was because he wasn't of the Duke's bloodline. At that moment, the Duke offered to help her find Ruger's ring if Mel would keep him company. The puppy-like Duke didn't expect to be rejected again. Mel explained she was going on a picnic with Ada tomorrow and had a lot to prepare today. Hearing this, the Duke's unhappiness vanished instantly. Then I will help you find the rings if you let me join the picnic tomorrow. Mel didn't expect the Duke to ask to come along, but it was also a good chance for him and Ada to bond, so she agreed. I might be too excited to sleep tonight, but if you win, what is the bet with Sizit? It is a wish. A wish I have wanted to make since I first learned about Sizit. An accident occurred during the family's first picnic. At the Duke's request, Mel agreed to let him join. The little guy was exceptionally excited for his first trip out. Mom, this is so cool. It is my first time in such a beautiful place. The Duke had already arranged a boat to tour the lake. Hearing this, Ada was incredibly expectant. Then let's all go rowing together. On the boat, the little guy kept leaning over the edge to watch the sun shimmering on the lake. It was beautiful. Seeing how much her son loved it, Mel thought about taking him out more often. Suddenly, the look in the little guy's eyes changed as he stared at the lake. He just sat there, blankly, not saying a word. Mel also noticed something was wrong with Ada. The next second, the little guy actually dove straight into the water. Luckily, the Duke was quick and caught him. Just in time. But the little guy's expression was calm as he said something in the lake was floating and he wanted to catch it. But that was too dangerous. What if you fell? The little guy apologized quietly and then fainted straight into Mel's arms. After checking, the Duke found nothing wrong, but for safety's sake, the two prepared to go back and find a doctor. Soon, they arrived at the Duke's estate. Under the doctor's diagnosis, no issues were found. He explained that the reason he hadn't woken up was that he was in a deep sleep and would wake up shortly. But facing the Duke's death stare, the doctor was still breaking out in a cold sweat, though he truly couldn't find any problem. The Duke had no choice but to let the doctor leave. Mel, however, was still very worried. Ada's state looked as if he had been possessed by something. The Duke could only comfort Mel and ask her to wait patiently. Perhaps Ada would wake up soon. Then he handed Mel an envelope. This is a letter written to you. I kept it for the time being. Mel took it and confirmed. The recipient was indeed her. The contents of the letter were also very strange. This guy is even worse than the last one. You deserve better. That would be pointless, so please don't die. Mel was very confused. Was this person close to the original owner? The Duke asked curiously from the side. What is the content? Mel thought for a moment and decided not to say anything. But the more she hid it, the more curious the Duke became. Helplessly, she handed the envelope over. Angry because of this. After reading it, the Duke fell silent for a long time, then laughed out loud. Although he didn't know who it was, their judgment of character was quite accurate. I can't believe it either. I'm indeed not as good as you. This makes me even more impatient to announce our wedding. After all, I found such a wonderful wife. Mel hurriedly turned her head in embarrassment. The Duke seemed very optimistic about this marriage. Perhaps after the one-year contract ended, they would actually get married. At that moment, the little guy on the bed showed signs of waking up. Both their eyes turned toward Ada. The little guy slowly opened his eyes, but then, as if startled by something, screamed and immediately curled into a ball, shouting, "Mom, I was wrong. Mom, I was wrong. I'm sorry, Mom. I apologize to you." Her son's sudden memory loss made the woman decide to give up on her fiancé. Once again, seeing Ada in a panic, the Duke stepped forward quickly to comfort him and asked if the little guy remembered him. As expected, Ada looked at the Duke blankly. Only then did Mel realize her child had truly lost his memory. Fortunately, the doctor said this condition was only temporary. It was quite a blow. A long time ago, Ada was like this when he met her. She thought everything had passed, but it seems the child's heart still has trauma. Mel once again steeled her heart. It would be better to leave after the one-year contract marriage. She should also control her feelings so that she can properly say goodbye to the Duke. Sure enough, a few days later he recovered his memory and even forgot that he had ever lost it. But Mel was still very worried. Even Haley, who was sitting across from her, noticed her troubled look. "Madam, do you have something on your mind? It is the first time I have seen a bride unhappy before her wedding. Did you have a fight with the Duke?" Mel didn't expect Haley to care so much about her. In the original story, she wasn't such a friendly person. She thought she wouldn't be fighting with the Duke within a year anyway. This is just a business relationship that lasts for a year, so she told Haley she was worried about her son. Haley immediately expressed her concern for Ada as well. "Thank you for your concern. The child has recovered now. Now let's get back to business. This is a document outlining my plans for the future. Let's start with the important thing. Here needs large-scale internal personnel measures, but here is a conservative place. It will definitely face opposition." Compared to Haley's hesitation, Mel was very firm. "Only by doing this can you solidify your position in the family. Look, this is the Crab Alliance, centered around Dawson." Haley picked it up and found it was not only real, but also extremely detailed. Some were even confidential internal information. Of course, knowing this was all thanks to the novel. "Now is there anything I need to do for you?" Mel took out some information. During the investigation, it was the first time she saw this person. She was shocked and thought he was suspicious, but didn't expect a link to the Hearn family. It was Baron Black, whom she met at the last banquet. The investigation says he is Dawson's confidant. But she couldn't remember this plot point at all. However, Haley did not encounter him at the banquet. If Haley didn't have any info, she would need to keep a close eye on Black. The investigation indicated that Dawson trusted Black immensely, but it's impossible for them to be linked for no reason. There must be a deal between them that others don't know about. It's still unclear why they are interacting. Haley didn't know if Black was anyone important. From what I know, Black is very polite and well-connected. He also frequently attends social parties. Mel didn't expect the outside world's evaluation of Black to be like this, but at the last banquet, he was very rude to her. Haley even doubted Mel's words, thinking she had mistaken him for someone else. Mel clearly remembered that man wearing the Black family crest, and his face matched the investigation's portrait perfectly. He felt familiar the first time she saw him. What kind of secret is Baron Black hiding? The Duke of Fukong is actually jealous of even her mother. He wants his wife to smile only at him. At Mel's request, Haley confidently took on the task of investigating Baron Black. Once this matter was settled, she could leave this city peacefully. Just then, a maid, approaching from the opposite direction, looked terrible. Mel fearfully asked what happened. The maid reported Ada's situation truthfully. Now he is staying in his room, neither eating nor drinking. So Mel decided to take some desserts to visit her son personally. Ever since that incident at the lake, Ada has become different than before. She didn't want to get too involved with him since she was going to leave anyway. But clearly, the person who bullied Ada was the original owner. Why should he have to bear the pain of losing a son? She could only leave Ada some good memories before leaving. Entering the door, she saw Ada lying on the bed and immediately took out his favorite dessert. But even after seeing it, Ada didn't react at all. Instead, he asked Mel what happened on the day of the lake trip. Why did his memory, after falling into the lake, completely vanish? Mel thought of what the doctor said about it being best to hide the truth from the child. She didn't expect Ada to realize something was wrong, so she had to find him. Said he was just startled, but Ada still expressed doubt. Looking at his mom, images of being scolded still popped into his mind. The mom in his head and the current one are worlds apart. Not knowing the reason, he could only silently take a cookie. The next morning, Mel took a carriage early to her appointment, but she was still a step late. Her future mother-in-law, Kame Lin, was already waiting at the door. "I ordered some clothes for you. That's why I invited you here. This is one of them." Mel was stunned. Kame Lin replied with certainty. "That's right. This is your wedding dress." Mel didn't expect her mother-in-law to have prepared even this. Clearly, her marriage with the Duke was just a one-year contract. She shouldn't be treated this way. But in her heart, she didn't want to refuse Kame Lin. In her past life, she had no mother, so she actually craved motherly love. Kame Lin stepped forward, took Mel's hand, and wanted to take her to try on other dresses. Mel didn't expect there to be more. For a mother with only one son, her biggest wish is to buy many dresses for a daughter. "I want to treat you like a daughter." Mel was instantly moved. This kind of familial love was something she never had in her previous life. Just then, a male voice interrupted their warm moment. "This scene makes me jealous. I hope you can smile at me like that too." The Duke finally snatched his wife away from his mom to have some time alone together. Kame Lin stared at her son wordlessly and asked why he was interrupting mother-daughter time. "If you're so, why not spend some time with your son? Besides, I see you are very happy to see me too." Kame Lin was even more speechless. I think you should go get your eyes checked if you have time. Mel watched the mother and son talk. The next second, the Duke sat down beside her. I couldn't find you at your place, so I came here. Now, quickly comfort me. I was just scolded by Mom. Lin told Mel from the side not to coddle him, or he'd get spoiled and act unrestrained later. But she was still very happy that they were getting married. He used to claim he was against marriage. I'm curious about what happened, but I am happy he found the love of his life, and such a beautiful girl at that. After hearing this, Mel felt very guilty. She would be leaving in a year, yet she was deceiving Lin. Turning around, she saw the smiling Duke and was immediately pulled into a warm embrace. I promise I will spend the rest of my life with Mel. With that assurance, Lin planned to pull Mel away to try on more dresses. If you have nothing else to do, you can leave first. We are busy. The Duke saw the worry in Mel's heart and helped her out by politely declining, saying they were very busy lately. Mel thought for a moment. The things she had to deal with were indeed many. Lin was very understanding. Hearing they were busy, she told Mel she didn't need to make a special effort to fit in. She would arrange everything for the wedding later. All right, you don't have to worry about anything. Leave it all to me. The Duke quickly took the hand of a dazed Mel. Whispered in her ear, let's go to a place where only the two of us can be without distraction. Mel thought the Duke would take her home, but unexpectedly the carriage went in the opposite direction. You will definitely love the place. I want to take you to. Mel asked curiously if they were going to a chocolate. Is it a chocolate shop? That reminds me of the chocolate-loving king. Long ago, there was a king who loved chocolate so much that he built a castle entirely out of it. But he overlooked one thing. When the sun gets hot, the castle melts. So the king was buried in his chocolate palace and died. That's the story. He loved chocolate so much he was happy even dying with it. I feel a lot like him. Even knowing I have to leave in a year, I can't help wanting to see you. Then the Duke said he could understand the king's feelings too. To that king, his greatest love was chocolate. Just as you are my greatest love, dying in the arms of the one you love sounds like a happy end. Do you want a real marriage? Not just a one-year contract. Mel realized the Duke truly liked her, but then felt it couldn't be real. To the Duke, she might only be someone with practical value. Seeing Mel remain silent for a long time, the Duke immediately changed the subject. I think we've arrived. We can get out now. I'm sure you'll like it. The Duke was already impatient to be a father. When Mel got out, she found it was a high-end salon. She thought the Duke had some business to attend to, but the Duke just smiled mysteriously. You'll know once you go inside. Mel had no choice but to follow. To her, it looked like an ordinary salon, but there must be a reason the Duke brought her here. I guess. You've already prepared something. Then the shop assistant brought over a box containing exquisite clothes. The size was clearly not for her. Could these be for Ada? Surprisingly, the Duke gave an affirmative answer. Our son must also attend the wedding. Mel was moved and believed the Duke would be a very good guardian in the future. Thank you. Ada will be so happy when he finds out. Well, since my wife is so busy, I have to make sure all of this is taken care of. Mel smiled and said she couldn't wait to see him in these. The Duke quickly chimed in. In that case, we need to get married soon. Mel's smiling face immediately flushed with shyness. If the size is wrong, let me know. Now, let's go somewhere else. He didn't forget to tell the assistant to send the clothes to Mel's manor. Just as they stepped outside, they saw a familiar figure, Baron Black, whom she had been wanting to investigate. The Duke followed Mel's gaze and suddenly frowned, his expression turning cold. That's Baron Black, right? I saw him at the gathering before. Why? Have you been staring at him from the start? Mel quickly rebutted, telling the Duke not to say such things. Just then, the Baron walking ahead suddenly turned a corner. Mel felt it necessary to follow and grabbed the Duke's arm. Let's go. I'll explain to you in a bit. Clearly, grabbing his arm worked very well on the Duke. Fine, although it's my first time tailing someone, I'll do my best. So the two followed the Baron. The Duke kept asking questions like a curious child until the Baron entered a door. The Duke asked Mel if they should continue following, as the risk might be too high. Mel thought it would be a pity to give up after following him this far. Suddenly, let's look around for any clues. The Duke noticed something strange about the building. The bottom floor had no windows. He guessed something important was hidden there. He summoned his ring to investigate, but ultimately found nothing. Why? Do you find that man suspicious? Mel explained that her previous investigation made her suspect he had a deal with Dawson, but even Haley didn't know about this. The Duke fell silent for a moment and decided they should head back first. Staying here risks getting caught. He would send people to investigate the building later. Mel agreed, as she had already taken up too much of the Duke's time. It is indeed getting late. I think it's too late to go to our original destination, but it's okay. We'll have plenty of other opportunities. So they set off for home. That night, a man in black came to the Duke's manor. I heard you're getting married. I'm here to congratulate you. I don't understand why you'd marry her. Don't you know about Mel's past? With Mel's company, the little guy finally reconciled with his mother. After making no progress investigating the Baron, Mel returned home dejectedly, only to see Ada nervously call out to her. It turned out the child hadn't slept and was waiting for her to come home. Thinking back to when he piteously asked about his lost memory, she hadn't gone to see her son since. I guess. You have something you want to say? Why don't we go to your bedroom? Unexpectedly, Ada shook his head hurriedly, hesitating. He said he wanted Mel to go to the playroom. Mel then remembered the playroom she had ordered the maids to prepare. It must be finished now, and Ada wanted to show her. As expected, after she agreed, her son was overjoyed. Once they entered, they saw a room full of toys and books. It seems the maids listened to her orders well. Looking at the little guy's expression, he was very satisfied. If she had known he'd like it so much, she would have arranged it sooner. It's almost bedtime. Why don't I read you a book? After that, Mel went over to the bookshelf and looked through it carefully. Finally, she picked out a book about small animals and asked Ada how he had been feeling lately, ever since falling into the lake. He couldn't remember a thing. If you feel any pain or discomfort, you have to tell Mom. Ada nodded at his mother. But his vision suddenly became blurry. Mel noticed something was wrong and quickly asked what was up. The little guy thought about it and decided to be honest. Since finding something in the lake last time, he had been feeling weird and always felt like throwing up. Hearing this, Mel got scared instantly and began questioning him. Did you eat something bad? Or did you not sleep well? Do you have a fever now? Also, what exactly did you find in the lake? Should I call a doctor for a checkup? Ada quickly explained that this only happened occasionally, so his mom didn't need to worry too much. The doctor said last time that his memory would slowly come back. Mel didn't expect her son to be so thoughtful, even though she was the one who should be looking after him. She wanted as much as possible before leaving so that Ada could live a normal, comfortable life. So she suggested doing something more fun than reading fairy tales. The little guy was totally confused. The only skill Mel had right now was using a gun to create rings. She took out her gun to show her son what she could do. Seeing the shiny golden rings, Ada shouted excitedly, "That is so pretty. One day, our Ada will be able to make beautiful stars like that too." She hoped to start his training soon so he could create his first ring faster. The next day, while Mel was handling official business, a maid came in with a letter. Mel had been busy with many things lately, wanting to quickly make Ada the head of the family. She also didn't find any clues about that building. Suddenly, she noticed the letter the maid had just brought in, but there was no signature on it. Who could have sent this? On the other side, the Duke was deep in thought while looking at Mel's files. How should he handle this situation? As expected, the love-struck Duke would never doubt his wife. Mel picked up the letter on the table to check it. The person who wrote it asked to meet Mel in a week. From the content, it seemed they met often. Maybe they knew about the original owner's situation, which meant her secret of not being the original owner would soon be out. But she had to meet them at least once to find out who it was. Before that, Mel wanted to inform the Duke. To her surprise, as soon as she finished her work, she saw the Duke sitting leisurely in the drawing room. Mel wondered why the maid hadn't notified her, but one look at his face told her she had definitely been tricked by the Duke. So, she didn't scold the maid. Seeing Mel sit down, the Duke couldn't wait to say, "I want to see you." Mel obviously knew that was the case. "Did you come here because you found some information about that building?" The Duke gave a negative answer. "I think we're getting married soon, but I still know nothing about you. Can you tell me more about yourself? Your hobbies or your tastes? I want to know everything about you." Mel didn't expect him to ask this suddenly. Was he worried about what would happen after the wedding? But she didn't really know much about the original owner either. "If there was anything important, I would have told you already." Duke questioned her. "One of our marriage conditions is that Ada must become the heir." "Why is that a requirement?" "That's because I want Ada to be happy. His biological father didn't care about him and was always out fooling around, leaving the child locked at home alone. So I wanted to find him a good father." Looking at how much Mel cared for the child, the Duke thought about what his friend said that day, that Mel had personally killed her husband. There was even solid proof. But looking at Mel's expression, he still didn't believe it. Besides, Ada wasn't even her biological son. Plus, hearing her say she chose me to be the father sounded even better than I imagined. "Why? Do you think I'd be a good father?" Mel didn't hide it and said it was because she felt his family had the power to protect Ada. In the original story, the Duke wasn't a good father at all. To him, Ada was just a useful tool. This led to Ada, who never felt loved, becoming someone who couldn't heal himself. But from their interactions now, the Duke was much better than she thought. They could definitely become a great family. It was the first time the Duke had been praised like this. The nobles always feared him because he looked like a monster. His interest in Mel was also due to her fearlessness. She was the only one who approached him without hesitation. Now the Duke was completely swept up in his own thoughts. Even if Mel really were a murderer, he didn't care. Just thinking about spending his life with her made him happy. After talking for a while, Mel suggested the Duke teach Ada how to use power. The Duke awkwardly admitted that he wasn't good at teaching people. Ada seemed to know how to use the rings now, but he hadn't made one yet. She couldn't tell the Duke that in the book, Ada only had one ring. Maybe it was just a woman's intuition, but I think Ada has a lot of potential. The room went quiet for a few seconds. Mel quickly asked the Duke to show Ada the rings, then called the child over. Showing off his skills, in front of his wife was a piece of cake. The Duke easily summoned countless rings. But Ada, who was watching excitedly just a moment ago, suddenly had a change in expression. Facing the child's strange behavior, Mel was at a loss. The little guy fell ill again. She blamed herself, thinking it was all her fault. "I'm sorry, this is all because of me." Seeing Ada start blaming himself, she stopped him immediately. "Didn't you promise me you wouldn't say things like that? It's just some dizziness. You don't have to apologize. Hearing his mom's words, our Ada smiled with relief. Later, while they were walking through the courtyard, the Duke noticed the swing. That's the one you said you wanted to move over there, right? That's right. It's Ada's favorite swing. I see. It'd be great if we could move it soon. Mel found this comment strange and asked him why. The Duke said bluntly, because I want you to move into my house as soon as possible. Mel froze for a second and immediately changed the subject. What was that building Baron Black went into used for? The Duke curled his lip in annoyance. That's just an abandoned building. The registration says it's a regular residence, but it's still unclear who the owner is. The people behind it are hiding it on purpose. Mel guessed there must be a secret inside. Sure enough, she still needed to use the chance to learn more. Mel was so lost in thought that she didn't hear the Duke calling her. Not until he gave her cheek a playful poke did Mel snap out of it. She was about to mention Doug when the Duke got jealous again. Stop thinking about other people. I'm the one right here with you. Mel's face flushed instantly from his flirting, but she tried her best to stay composed. I'm also curious about something else. Did you send me a letter via carrier pigeon? You even wrote me a love letter. When I get back, I'll reply using some fancy stationery. I didn't know you had such a romantic side. The Duke asked, in your eyes, what kind of person am I? Mel thought about the cold-blooded description in the book. He was nothing like the real person standing next to her. She suddenly gave a soft smile. Now that I think about it, you've always been pretty romantic with me. Chatting away, they arrived at the swings. The Duke suggested Mel sit down so he could push her, but Mel hesitated, saying she was a bit scared. Only then did the Duke realize he knew nothing about Mel's preferences. Is there anything you want to tell me? Like your hobbies, what you like, or anything else I should know? Mel had no choice but to share a childhood story. Once, while I was playing on a swing, my father suddenly came over, grabbed my hair, and dragged me away. I just can't forget that moment. It's not that I'm afraid of the swing itself. Mel told a little lie. In the original book, the cause of death for Mel's family was unknown. She thought saying this wouldn't matter, but she didn't realize it had planted a seed of doubt in the Duke. He had investigated Mel and found she was sent to an orphanage at birth, and the director was a woman. So, who was this father Mel mentioned? Meanwhile, Mel went to her appointment. Looking into the restaurant, she only saw a blue-haired woman, so she hesitantly sat at another table. To her surprise, the woman stood up and greeted her with a huge smile. Long time no see. Sister, why didn't you say hi? You're acting like you don't know me. Didn't we agree not to keep our distance anymore? Now Mel was even more confused. Before she could think, the blue-haired woman dropped another question. Sister, why haven't you been wearing the earrings I gave you? You wore them all the time for a while. Mel remembered those earrings and wondered why Edith gave them to her. Did Edith get some kind of benefit from it? Was he really the one who sent the card? Just then, she heard Edith say, did you ever think the one sending the cards was me? The Duke has another major rival. Seeing the fan like Edith in front of her, Mel was still skeptical. Why did you call me out? Is it because you gave me a gift and now you want something in return? Edith quickly waved her hands to show that those gifts were sincerely meant for her sister. Well then, Miss Edith, do you know how many cards you've sent me lately? I do. To be exact, it's been 23 times, and there were 58 gifts. Looking at the excited Edith, Mel got a headache. But if the original Mel kept all the gifts, doesn't that mean she valued them too? After answering, Edith's eyes became even more adoring. So, did you guess it was me? No, I didn't. But why? Did you send me all those gifts? At first, I just liked you, sister. That's why I sent them. But now, I want to be your person. You've been seeing Haley often lately, right? It seems like you too. I was curious. I didn't want to overstep. I wanted to ask you directly, so I held back. Mel didn't expect Edith to know about this too. However, Edith might be a huge help in gathering info. If you want to help me, I'll tell you everything. Edith's eyes lit up instantly. Just then, a maid brought some milk. Mel was even more puzzled. Even the Emperor thought she loved tea, but Edith knew she preferred milk. She had to stay alert. After leaving the restaurant, Mel's steps felt heavy. Luger was already waiting at the door. From here on, I'll be your escort. Just as Mel was about to board the carriage, she saw CJ walking toward them. After the two spoke for a bit, Luger hurried over to say goodbye. I have some business to take care of, so I have to head out first. This guy will escort you. Instead, before leaving, he didn't forget to lean on the window and tell Miss Mel, if you ever need a guard again, make sure to call me. While Luger was acting cute, CJ decisively shut the carriage door. As the carriage started moving, Mel realized this wasn't the way back. Where are we going? CJ clearly didn't expect Mel to ask that. Did that Luger fellow not tell you anything? Lady Camelin wants to see you. I'm sorry for not explaining sooner. So, that's it. She must have a reason for wanting to see me. Is Luger in such a rush because he's meeting the captain? CJ explained that he was going to conduct a search. Although he didn't say it outright, Mel knew they must have found something. Seeing how dedicated CJ was to the investigation, she comforted him and told him not to be too hard on himself. CJ was taken aback. Mel then realized she might have overstepped. Since he was her favorite character in the original book, she comforted him instinctively. It felt a bit awkward now, so she quickly changed the subject. Did the Duke say anything? Once I move into the manor, could you please teach my son how to use the rings? Ada is very talented in this area, so I want him to learn. It will also help the family in the future. I think you would be a great teacher. You lost a bet to me before and owe me a wish, so I'm using it for this. If the Lord agrees, I'm fine with it. What's it like having a perfect mother-in-law? Not only does she buy you clothes and jewelry without hesitation, but she also has surprise gifts ready at all times. Mel got a big hug as soon as she arrived at the Duke's mansion. The wedding preparations are almost done. Now let's confirm the final details. What do you think about the date I picked? Looking at the list Lin prepared, Mel didn't expect the wedding to be so soon. Then, Lin pulled out a box. This is my wedding gift to you. Mel hesitated about whether to tell Lin the truth. It was just a contract marriage, yet she kept receiving expensive gifts. Lin urged her to open it. Inside was a crystal ball with 3 figures carved in it. What do you think? My golden ring will protect you all. Even though I don't know if anything dangerous will happen. Mel didn't expect Camelin's ring to be stored inside. Thank you. I don't even know how to express my gratitude. As long as you like it. That's all that matters. No need to be formal with me. In the evening, Mel said goodbye and prepared to go home. But on the carriage back, she saw the Duke. CJ tactfully moved to the carriage behind them. Seeing the box his wife was holding, the Duke was curious. This is a wedding gift from your mother. She said if I put it in the bedroom, it would keep danger away. Since I'll be in that bedroom protecting you, maybe we should put this in Ada's room instead. That's a great idea. But are we really going to share a room? We're a contract couple. A contract couple is still a couple, right? Seeing Mel blush, the Duke smirked even more. Meanwhile, the trio on the other side wasn't exactly having a blast. Their mission failed again today. Ross complained bitterly. Why? Is it always a waste of time? Before long, Ross and Luger started bickering again. CJ, your vice captain is about to die, and you're not even helping? This is between the captain and the vice captain. I can't really get involved. If it weren't for Miss Mel being nearby, we'd be dead meat today. Luger totally agreed. Miss Mel is truly incredible. How did she turn our lord into such a love-struck fool? Next time I see her, I have to thank her properly. Hearing this, CJ couldn't help but recall Mel's smile. Luger immediately cut him off. Kid, what's on your mind? I'm thinking about how many times this mission has failed. Is this for real? Another failure? Is this for real? Well, I'm still better than someone who constantly bullies Barrow. And so, the bickering turned into a 3-way brawl. Mel reached the manor and said goodbye to the Duke. As soon as she got home, she saw her kid, all dressed up. The little guy was just too cute. Seeing his mom's surprised look, Ada thought he didn't look good. No, not at all. It suits you perfectly. Do you like these clothes? Little Ada was clearly very happy. Did the Duke send these? No, it wasn't me. What is it? Father? It's a gift from your father. You should thank him when you see him later. When women want to succeed, they work together. Mel went to Haley's place and handed over Edith's info. Maybe he'll become our new partner. I'm going to see him today and sign a contract. Haley was a bit hesitant though. Even though he's very famous in social circles, his personal background is completely hidden. How about we meet him first? And then decide. Why not right now? As soon as she said that, Haley shouted, go for it. Mel was stunned for a second. What's happening? You said you're going to see Miss Edith, so I'm cheering you on. Mel stood up. Helpless. You're coming too. I'm actually a bit curious how Miss Edith plans to help me become the head of the house. From what I remember, the Count's family has a good relationship with Dawson. I often see the Count meeting Dawson in private. Haley's words made Mel doubt Edith's motives. Is she trying to get some kind of intel from us? We need to be on high alert today. The place we're going might be a total trap. The two arrived at Edith's house with nervous hearts and were greeted warmly at the door. Sister, what took you so long? I've been waiting forever. Nice to meet you, Miss Haley. I'm Edith. As soon as they sat down, Edith impatiently asked Mel if she brought the contract. To their surprise, she signed it immediately without even glancing at it. Miss Edith, do you really agree to Haley becoming the head of the house? Yes, but sister, there's one thing I'm curious about. Are you supporting Haley as the Duchess? If that's the case, I have even less reason not to be on your side. The house soon. In that case, my opinion is the opinion of the Neefly family. Then she started gushing like a fangirl again. I only want to help because I like you, sister. I really want to know why. Edith began to reminisce. At first, I just heard the Viscount had such a beautiful wife and felt annoyed. So I wrote to you, sister, saying you could come to me if you needed any help. I didn't expect you to handle things so perfectly after the Viscount died. Since then, I've been completely hooked. Your personality changed, and now you're totally my type. Mel blushed at Edith's intense confession. She was just relieved that Edith liked her current self. Next, Mel wanted Haley to meet the Duke, so they planned to host a social gathering. Later, when Mel went to invite the Duke, she found out something else. They were getting married in 3 weeks. It was a total shock to Mel. There were only 3 weeks left. She had been so busy with Haley's affairs that she completely forgot about her own wedding. A woman actually forgot her own wedding until her fiancé reminded her. I've been so busy with Haley's stuff that I totally forgot. I'm so hurt. You really don't care about our wedding at all. You're the only bride who'd forget her own wedding date. Seeing this, she frantically tried to explain. The Duke was clearly a bit upset. I'm sorry. Of course I'm looking forward to the wedding, just as much as you. I've just been so busy lately that I didn't pay enough attention. We're getting married in 3 weeks. It's a very auspicious date. The love-struck Duke was surprisingly assertive and immediately started planning where they should go for their honeymoon. How about the beach? Mel hesitated. This was just a contract marriage. If they made too many good memories, how hard would it be to say goodbye? She had to brush him off. We'll talk about that later. By the way, Mel, do you know what the bride and groom do in front of the guests? He stepped forward, took Mel in his arms, and whispered in her ear, I heard all the bride and groom have to do is kiss. If it's not absolutely necessary, we can just skip it, right? Given our relationship, kissing would be pretty awkward. To her surprise, the Duke said firmly, we can't skip it. I heard it's the most important part of the wedding. We're not skipping it, but I have a great way to handle the awkwardness. Move into my manor before the wedding. Mel didn't know if that would help, but she definitely needed the Duke's help. With the banquet, a few days later, Mel and Ada moved into the Duke's manor. He even hired a private tutor for Ada. Things for the banquet were also moving fast. I'm sure Ada will be able to release a ring soon. You seem very sure he can do it. Mel was caught off guard by the question. Because this was the original plot, she could be that certain. It's almost like you know the future. Mel wondered if the Duke had caught on to something. Was he interested in her because of that? The Duke noticed Mel's expression and quickly said, after all, nobody can really see the future. Right then, they both saw a letter from Haley on the table. Mel thought it was just a report on social etiquette, but once opened, it was full of complaints about Dawson. Mel felt super awkward, especially since the Duke was right there. At the same time, the little guy was hesitating at the door. The Duke noticed someone outside. A tiny kid was pacing back and forth. Opening the door, they saw the little guy standing there looking totally pitiful. Ada, it's not class time yet. What's wrong? Can you tell me why you're skipping class? I can only help if you tell me. Ada stammered before finally spilling it. Whenever the teacher gets close, I get really scared. Looking at him just reminds me of my late father. To get the job as the kid's tutor, Luger had definitely pulled out all the stops. But when Ada hesitantly said he was reminded of his late father, Mel knew the little guy must be terrified. In that case, it's better to find a new teacher. The Duke totally agreed. Looks like we need to find a new private tutor for Ada. Mel assumed the Duke meant CJ, but she didn't expect it to be Luger. His skills are top-notch. You can trust him, but it doesn't have to be him. Any capable knight would do. He then asked Ada if he wanted to pick the teacher himself. Ada nodded eagerly, so the three of them headed over to the training grounds. It was Ada's first time seeing anything like this, and he was fascinated. Mom, they're so cool. Ada, which one do you like best? Or, who looks the coolest? Hearing this, the little guy immediately turned to Mel. Mom looks the coolest and the most beautiful. After saying that, he shyly hid behind the Duke. The knights, practicing nearby, all noticed them, and Luger spotted Ada too. He immediately got all cocky. So, do I look even cooler up close? Want someone as handsome as me to be your teacher? Luger's cool pose didn't even last 3 seconds before the kid rejected him. Then Ada looked the other way and stopped. It was CJ sparring with someone. You like CJ? Then I'll have CJ teach you. Who knew that after everything, CJ would still end up as Ada's teacher? A few days later, it was time for Haley's social banquet. Mel and the Duke arrived in style. Getting off the carriage, she noticed the Duke's hand was bandaged. She hadn't heard anything about him. Seeing Mel's worried look, the Duke casually said he got hurt during training. Mel figured that made sense and didn't think much of it. The most important thing right now was for Haley's party to be a success. On the way, the Duke suggested they should hold hands. We need to look close. Mel naturally took the Duke's arm. As the two entered the ballroom, they caused quite a stir. Mel was very pleased with the reaction. I'll go find Haley. You go say hi to the others. But the Duke started acting clingy. I want to go with you. However, Mel turned him down and hurried toward Haley. Did you see the looks everyone was giving me? It's the first time people have looked at me like that. I could barely hide how excited I was. You're holding it in well, but you should keep practicing. Thinking of Dawson. Everything seemed normal. I'm going to go find Edith. We were just talking about you, my lady. We heard you're marrying the Duke very soon. That's right. The wedding is in 3 weeks. I hope you all can come and give us your blessings. Everything is going great. It's about time to head back and find the Duke. Just as she said, Mel was stopped by the man behind her. Hello. He called her madam, then muttered to himself, I can't call you that yet since you aren't married. Mel wanted to ask what he meant, but he just turned and walked away. The Duke was jealous again. As Mel tried to chase after the man, the Duke called out to her. What's wrong? What happened? It's nothing. I just ran into a boy who wasn't on the guest list. He headed outside, so I wanted to follow him. I see. I'll have Ruger and Rose search the grounds. Then I'll go too. In the original story, Ruger and Rose end up together. Would it be an intrusion to go now? Just as she thought that, she saw the two of them up ahead. It seems they still have a long way to go. The Duke asked if they had seen anyone suspicious, like maybe a plain-looking boy with brown hair and freckles. Ruger asked for details on his clothes. Mel hadn't looked closely, and it wasn't that important. Don't spend too much time on it. Later, Rose reported they found nothing. It's weird. People don't just vanish into thin air. While thinking, she saw Dawson walk in. He shot a glance at Mel, which immediately annoyed the Duke. Dawson just looked at you, didn't he? He was rude enough to avoid eye contact. Seeing the Duke was about to snap, Mel quickly stopped him. Please, don't. I'll go have a quick chat with Dawson. Our goal is to get the mine back, after all. I'll be right back. You can't just keep staring at me from a distance. Watching his wife walk away and hearing her warning, the Duke didn't know what to do with himself. For a moment. Meanwhile, Mel skillfully greeted the people near Dawson. Dawson saw this and stepped forward. I've heard so much about you. I didn't expect the madam to be as beautiful as the rumors say. Mel politely shook his hand. Compared to Hi, Lay, Dawson was much better at hiding his emotions. Can we step aside for a moment? I wanted to find a chance to meet you, and it seems you have the same idea. Why don't we go somewhere quiet to talk about things in more depth? Mel knew Dawson wanted to bribe her. We aren't exactly on close terms yet. This is kind of foolish. I thought you were more cautious. Hearing this, Dawson was clearly ticked off. Then why did you approach me? Isn't it because you're caught between me and my sister? You really have no judge of character. I didn't plan to abandon the wife I have. I was just curious if you plan to quit this game. But seeing you today, it seems you don't. Too bad things won't go your way. I'm afraid my sister won't achieve the goal of this party today. You will soon realize how wrong your choice was. Mel didn't expect Dawson to try and sabotage it. After saying that, Dawson left. She had no idea what he was up to, but she had to warn Haley. Both of them looked grim after hearing about the conversation. Mel left to find the Duke, but realized everyone had vanished. Just then, she spotted that freckled boy again. Mel finally found him. To stop Dawson's plan, she had to chase him. She didn't expect the garden to be such a maze. Before long, she was totally lost. But if she was lost, the boy might be too. She had to catch him before it was too late. Soon, Mel heard another voice. She turned and saw a hand reaching out from the bushes. A second later, the freckled boy emerged. He instinctively tried to run, but Mel grabbed him. Who are you? Why do you know about me? Why did you lure me here? Answer me. Who told you about me? And how did you dodge the night surveillance? The boy slammed Mel's hand away and turned to keep running. Suddenly, Mel pulled a gun on him. I don't want to hurt you, so let's talk. Why are you acting? Ordered you to do that? The boy hesitated. Even if you don't know, it won't cause any problems in your life. I'm just doing what I'm told. Mel then realized he was being coerced. Was it Dawson who sent you? It looked like Dawson held something very important over him. You're afraid of losing what Dawson promised you, right? Dawson told me today's party would be ruined. You must have some kind of mission. Today's party has to end successfully, so I'm giving you a choice. Help me, and I can help you escape Dawson's grasp. Just then, the necklace from the Duke flashed. The boy immediately knocked Mel aside and bolted. Mel could only watch him go in frustration. Then, the Duke found her. I heard Ruger and Rose found the boy, but they lost him again. Mel was about to say she saw him when the Duke noticed the wound on her hand. He immediately sent Ruger to get ointment and bandages. A scratch like this will heal overnight. There are more important things than this. No. To me, nothing is more important than you being hurt. We'll talk after you're treated. After the Duke treated her wound, He warned her never to go to dangerous places alone again. Even the garden is dangerous right now because we found traces of a shadow in the manor. We suspect that boy you mentioned is a shadow. Otherwise, he couldn't have evaded our search. Mel guessed Dawson was using the shadow to turn the party into a disaster. But since the Duke was attending the banquet, how could Dawson be so sure it would fail? We don't have time to stay here. The banquet we carefully prepared is being destroyed. Mel snapped out of it and grabbed the Duke to head to the hall. On the way, she explained what she heard from the freckled boy. Dawson is planning to sabotage this party. Just then, a noise came from ahead, giving them both a bad feeling. It looks like we're too late. Right as she said that, a massive explosion went off inside. Mel instinctively tried to rush in, but the Duke held her back. It's dangerous in there. We don't know what happened. Mel was shaking, nearly in despair. But the people I invited are still in there. Her distress, the Duke quickly pulled her into his arms. It's okay. I'm here. Nothing will happen. He signaled the knights to check the situation. They led the way inside while we followed. Safely behind. Up ahead, Rose found someone who had collapsed. He's still breathing, but seems to be unconscious. It feels like someone intentionally left him alive. Then, Ruger tested it and found a hole. These hidden holes have been popping up everywhere lately. This wasn't in the original story. Mel had no idea why. The plot was changing like this. Could the Emperor be behind this? Inside the ballroom, everything was a mess. Rose shouted to maintain order. We will lead you all outside. Please, follow me calmly. Mel went in and desperately searched for Haley. She must have run somewhere to take cover. Is there a place to hide here? Mel thought of something and led the Duke away. Dawson originally wanted to lure her out and then set off bombs to ruin the party. But he wouldn't be that bold on his own. Mel guessed the Emperor was pulling the strings. Dawson needed powerful backing. In the original story, only the Emperor returned as a villain. When the two arrived and pushed open the door, they saw Haley on the floor. It took a while for Haley to wake up. Mel watched her, shaking, and asked what happened. The Duke suggested infusing ring energy into Haley's body. Ring energy is warm to normal people and might help her calm down. With the Duke's help, Mel created a ring without using her gun and carefully approached Haley. Surprisingly, Haley looked terrified and scrambled away. This reaction was exactly how Ada reacted to the ring last time. Her body is rejecting the ring, just like Ada. If the symptoms are the same, they must have something in common. Haley, I have a few questions. What happened right before you passed out? Haley then remembered what happened. Something suddenly fell on the floor, and she tried to pick it up. It was just like the incident at the lake. It seems they do have the same symptoms and the force behind. This is the same mastermind who tried to put Ada in danger. The young couple started showing affection in public. After seeing Haley's reaction to the ring, the Duke had a general idea. What she's rejecting isn't just any ring. It's yours. Mel, seeing Haley's behavior just now probably reminded you of Ada, right? They both react to the first ring they come into contact with. Though it's just a theory, there's a high chance it's because of the hole. Usually, people don't reject the ring, they get positive feelings from it. If there's a negative reaction, it can be inferred that they've been poisoned by something. Opposite to the ring, Mel wondered how Ada got poisoned inside the manor, then immediately thought of the Duke's spy. It seems he left a hole in the mansion, even though it'll be hard on Ada. Shouldn't we confirm one more time if he? Duke disagreed. If we do that, Ada will be like last time. I don't want to see either of you in pain. Let's find another way to confirm it. Mel didn't expect the Duke to care so much about Ada. Of course, Ada is our son. These words deeply touched Mel. Right, he's our son. Thank you so much. Mel, don't thank me again. Instead of a verbal apology, why don't you show it through your actions? Just as things were getting romantic, a woman's voice interrupted them. Excuse me, am I being a total third wheel right now? Realizing the situation, Mel awkwardly apologized. Anyway, the party is over now. I'll leave the rest to you and Edith. Haley didn't know what to do for a moment. Go and sincerely apologize to the nobles invited today. Don't forget, you're the one who's going to be the head of the house. You're also the one I chose. Haley was suddenly filled with confidence again. We should go back and check on Ada. Mel felt overwhelmed. Everything lately was so complicated. Suddenly, Haley called out to Mel. Did you see Baron Doug today? Mel then realized what she had forgotten. Doug didn't even greet Haley, the host, which means he must be involved in this commotion. We'll have to look into him later. But before that, she asked the Duke to find the freckled boy. The Duke didn't react at all until Mel suddenly shouted, snapping him out of it. Once outside, the Duke ordered the knights to find the boy as quickly as possible. This might actually become quite simple. The love-struck Duke kept confessing his feelings so seriously that Mel's heart was racing. On the way back, Mel once again asked the Duke to investigate that building. Of course, anything you want. I'd tear the whole building down if you asked. Once this is settled, let's go on a picnic. Okay. Last time was such a letdown. Let's go again. As a family. When Mel agreed, the Duke's eyes lit up. He said bluntly, I really like you. Mel blushed instantly. How can he say such embarrassing things so naturally? Meanwhile, the little one was training hard, but he still couldn't meet Sigurd's standards. Please aim better. That's not the angle I just taught you. But my arm feels like it's about to break. Sigurd looked at Ada's trembling hands, confused. Didn't you volunteer to learn swordsmanship from me, young master? Let Miss Mel see your cool side. Get up. Sigurd's encouragement made Ada think of his mother. Even if I'm not cool, mother will still love me. But I want to become more reliable so I can protect her. The little one's fighting spirit was reignited. Suddenly, his body was lifted into the air. See, Gert knew the Duke and the others were back. That's enough training for today. The little one couldn't wait to go greet his mother. The Duke and Mel were discussing where they wanted to go. If I had to pick, I'd choose somewhere with snow. Too bad it never snows in the Empire. But have you ever seen snow before? Did you live in the kingdom of Nixon? Mel remembered that Nixon is in a constant state of winter and had to admit she once lived there. Do you miss it? No way. I have people and things I treasure right here. She turned and saw the little guy running toward them. He started chatting away the moment he saw his mom. I'm so happy. Sigurd is my teacher. I'm a bit scared of him, but I can tell he's serious about teaching me. I can even spar with a wooden sword now. Watching her son talk about his recent days, she noticed he felt a bit heavier. Soon, she might not be able to just scoop him up anymore. I really hope he grows up happy and healthy. Meanwhile, the knights were discussing the banquet incident. They had never heard of hole poisoning before. Until now, holes were only used as weapons to cause harm. Now, it's making people reject the ring. Now they had to confirm the symptoms the victims were having toward the ring. We need to get our hands on a corrupted hole. I'm going to poison myself to track the symptoms and find a cure. Ruger was against Rose's suggestion. You're really going to be a test subject? If you dare do that, I'll tell the Lord. He left in a huff. Rose couldn't wrap her head around Ruger's reaction. This is the most direct way. It's not like I'm putting it in him. So why the big fuss? Sigurd was totally done with Rose. She really can't read the room, can she? The little one finally opened up to the Duke. At bedtime, Ada excitedly showed his mom his attacking stance. Mel was happy to see him so joyful. Don't worry about what happened. If you feel unwell, your father will definitely treat you. That gentleman really seems like a good person. Hearing him call the Duke that, Mel was surprised. I thought you didn't like him. No, it's just embarrassing. He's so different from my previous father. Mel understood. Ada still needs time. When you're mentally ready, you can call him father. Okay, I won't make that gentleman wait too long. After Ada fell asleep, Mel walked out and found Sigurd waiting by the door because the young master forgot something at the training ground. I'm here to return it. He really treasures this. He must have felt all of Miss Mel's sincerity. At Mel's invitation, the two went for a walk in the garden. I heard from Ada that you're a great teacher, and he's very happy. It's my first time seeing him so invested in something. I hope you can help Ada manifest his ring. But everyone is different, and his ring might not manifest at all. I know that, of course, but Ada can do it. Mel seemed so certain, as if she could see the future. It's because of his mother's trust that Ada is so determined. I think I understand why he trusts Miss Mel so much now. The young, oh, to repay you, he always works very hard. He trusts Miss Mel 100% and loves you very much. Mel was overjoyed to hear this. Seeing Mel smile, Sigurd was dazed for a moment. Such a warm girl. So warm, in fact, that even the Lord might not be good enough for her. He suddenly snapped out of it. He had no right to judge the relationship between the Duke and Mel. When she returned to the room, Ada was still sleeping soundly. The old Ada is gone. Could she be a bit more selfish and stay by Ada's side? Just then, the little one's tearful voice came. Mother, please forgive me. It's all my fault. Without a doubt, the main character of Ada's nightmare was the very Mel she was just daydreaming about. She suddenly lost her steam and thought about waking Ada up. As she got closer, a wave of nausea hit her. She immediately rushed out and opened a window just to catch her breath. In the original story, Ada's trauma affected him for a long time, even until the original owner was stabbed to death. He couldn't be free. Was I being too delusional? Can I really not stay here as a beloved mother? What Mel didn't know was that Ada's dream had quietly changed. Originally scared, he received an apology from his mother and a promise that she would never hurt him again. He forgave his mother in the dream once more. Ada woke up with tears. He used to have nightmares every day, but now his MO. They would apologize immediately. On the contrary, his recent dreams had become happy. Soon, he probably won't have nightmares anymore. He feels very happy now. 4. Mother's sake. I'll try to get along with my stepfather. With his mother's encouragement, Ada practiced his swordsmanship even harder. Sigurd, was that a good hit just now? If only mother could have seen it. Where for our honeymoon? Let's hit the beach. The Duke watched with pride. It looks like your strength has improved a lot. Can you show me that move again? Hearing this, the little one lost his confidence. Sigurd quickly encouraged him. Weren't you doing just fine a moment ago? But under the Duke's gaze, Ada was so nervous he didn't even know how to hold the sword. Grip it like this. You were doing great just now. Then swing it down like this. Incredible. I have to become as good as my father. Hearing the word father, the Duke was clearly stunned for a second. Then he smiled. He knew Ada had accepted him in his heart. With the Duke's guidance, Ada's swordsmanship improved even more. Sigurd will continue to guide you well. Yes, father. I'll practice hard. Afterward, he told Sigurd to clean up and then meet up with Rose. We've already caught that guy. The knights investigated the building and found nothing inside, but they still found a few clues in the waste. Though torn and unreadable, Doug's signature was faintly visible. That's more than enough of an excuse to bring him in. The only reason he's so certain is because of the script. Sigurd will handle the matter. So what should we do with this guy? I know you were ordered to plant the hole at the party venue. However, I don't have any evidence. So why don't you tell me yourself who ordered you? The freckled boy looked nervous, but still refusing to say a single word. If that's how it's going to be. He motioned for Sigurd to bring over a piece of paper. Your sister is quite cute. Seeing the Duke use his sister as a threat, the freckled boy immediately shouted in agitation. I have no desire to touch your sister, but have you ever considered how long the money you make working for them will support her? The new holes Dawson created seem to have used you as a test subject. Do you know how dangerous that is? You're lying. His Majesty the Emperor guaranteed me that the experiment was completely harmless to the body. So it was the Emperor who gave you that guarantee. My son, Ada, only has simple hole poisoning, which will clear up quickly with time. But yours is different. Your body has been modified into a shadow that can produce a new kind of hole. You will gradually be poisoned, and it might even be life-threatening. Even your sister could be in danger. I'm giving you a chance. If you cooperate with us, I can find a way for both you and your sister to survive safely. Make your choice, me or Dawson. Meanwhile, Mel was making cupcakes. Lately, the young master seems very happy. Because of his swordsmanship training, it feels like he's grown quite a bit taller. Hearing the maid's words, Mel's heart grew heavy. The more Ada gets used to training, the closer he gets to the Duke. Once their bond is solid, it will be time for me to leave. So, before that happens, I can't let myself get more attached. The little one finally cleared up his mother's internal struggle. The rainy days made Ada feel slighted. Even though he was at a strong and healthy age, he could only stay indoors. Sigurd couldn't help but laugh. Who exactly taught you to say things like that? It was mother. She said I can do whatever I want at this age. But I miss her so much now. Lately she's always busy. I don't know if I should go see her. I don't know if it's just my imagination, but mother wouldn't avoid me on purpose. It's definitely just your imagination. The young lady is always very busy. I think if you did this, it would be better. Ada thought it made perfect sense. Mother will be so happy when she sees what I painted myself. Sigurd curiously tried to take a look, but Ada blocked him. This is my secret. Meanwhile, while processing work, Mel received a letter from the Duke. The letter informed her that they found the freckled boy from the party. He agreed to testify in court that he was ordered by Dawson and Doug. A verdict will be reached soon. Everything will go as you wish, as long as I'm around. So, did you miss me today? Mel threw the letter aside without hesitation. This way, she could easily take back the mine. I need to write to Haley immediately. Although this incident won't draw too much attention to Haley, even a small crack is enough to make Dawson anxious. Next, I'll crush everything. Just then, a maid's knock came from outside. She came in with a grin. You'll be shocked when you see this. Look, the young master painted this himself. You can admire it closely. Mel looked at the painting of her and the Duke. A flash of her son from that dream crossed her mind, but was quickly replaced by joy. This would look great hanging up. Between Ada's behavior in the dream and him painting this, which one is truly from his heart? Thinking about how he couldn't go out to train because of the rain, Mel went straight to Ada's room. I saw your painting. It's truly incredible. I've already placed it in the most prominent spot. Seeing him practicing with the sword alone when she walked in, she said, "If you're just doing this to meet my expectations, you don't have to push yourself." The little guy shook his head. "I practice because it's fun and I want to become as powerful as my father as soon as possible." Mel looked at the innocent child. When he grows up and can hold his own, he should join the Duke's Knights. That way he'll never be abandoned again. The little guy also noticed the change in his mother's expression. Even though he didn't know what happened, he felt truly happy at this moment. "Mother, I have something to tell you." The Duke will always stand firmly behind Mel. In the happy atmosphere, the little one finally decided to tell his mom the truth, but the words took a sharp turn. He originally wanted his mother to be proud of him, but it turned into, "Come practice with me." Seeing her son's shy and dejected look, Mel knew he definitely meant to say something else. His conflicted look was still adorable. She really hoped moments like this could last forever. At this time, Dawson was in a panic. Doug and that boy had both vanished. He had no idea what kind of situation he was in. Mel happened to visit just then and immediately said she was very disappointed in Haley. Because of that gathering, Haley's reputation hit rock bottom, which also caused my own reputation to suffer. So, I plan to switch to another ship. Are you certain you won't disappoint me? Dawson didn't know what Mel's plan was, so he didn't agree easily, only asking back, "Why come to me now? I always intended to support you. But my fiancé has a bit of an aversion to you." Dawson suddenly felt a chill. "Why would the Duke have an aversion to me? He has absolutely no reason to like you. Did you forget that the mine was stolen by you?" Dawson finally understood. If that's the case, this is a good opportunity. He had exhausted all his efforts to get the mine, to solidify his position. Now, if he gained the Duke's support, what was a mine worth? So he gritted his teeth and decided to give the mine away. If the mine can appease the Duke's anger, I'm willing to give as much as it takes. Dawson quickly signed the transfer agreement. Mel took it and left without looking back. She didn't expect the plan to succeed so easily. Foolish. Dawson would never become the head of the house in his lifetime because I will absolutely never let you have your way. After returning, Mel looked at her son's painting. "Before I leave, I should give Ada a gift, whatever it is. It should be something he'll remember for a long time." Suddenly, the necklace around her neck glowed, and Mel had an idea. She went outside where the Duke was already waiting. "What made you rush over here so urgently? Is it indeed the power of love?" "Not a chance. Did you use this to find me?" The Duke was quite displeased to hear that. "What's with that?" "So that's what it was. But thank you for always wearing it. So, can you help me make another necklace?" The Duke knew Mel definitely wanted to give it to Ada. "This is the most special gift I've received. I feel like Ada would love it too." "That's a good idea. It would surely be a very meaningful gift for him. But Ada will love whatever you give him. I'll send a craftsman over today. He should arrive before sunset. However, I can't believe I'm the one giving him the most important gift of his life. For some reason, it makes me happy." The love-struck Duke is ready to give the whole country to Mel as a betrothal gift. Looking at Mel's radiant smile, he couldn't help but confess again. "Mel, you are also the most special gift I've ever received." Secretly, he was thinking about giving the entire world to her. After their talk, the craftsman arrived at the estate. Mel went over her requirements in detail. The decoration can't be too heavy, and the size shouldn't be too big. How long will that take? Also, there's one more thing I need to keep secret from the Duke. After their private talk, the craftsman left. A few days later, Mel brought a large basket of cookies to Ada. The little guy was so happy that the basket was empty in no time. "Also, this box is a return gift for your painting. Go ahead and open it." Looking at the box, the little guy started to sob and then burst into tears. Mel was flustered, trying to comfort him when she heard her son's choked reply. "I thought mother hated me again like before, and that's why you rarely came to see me lately. I was so worried." He started crying again. Mel's heart ached for her son. She hadn't realized how insecure he felt. Now, she wasn't even sure of her own feelings. "So, Mom has been busy preparing a gift for me all this time?" "Yes, so you should be happy to receive it." "Don't make me worry." "I understand, Mom. But even..." So, Mel was still determined to leave. After wiping his tears, Ada excitedly opened the box and found a sparkling necklace. "It's beautiful. Is this your ring, Mother? Wear it always. This necklace will protect you. It looks just like the one Mother wears." "So, is this a family necklace? Because we're all wearing similar ones." Hearing this, Mel realized that once the Duke wore his, it really would be a family set. "This necklace is so pretty, just like the snow in fairy tales. Then let's go see real snow together someday. Whenever time allows, we'll go together. By the way, can you control the ring yet?" The little guy grew nervous at the question. "It's still very hard for me. Maybe I just don't have the talent." Mel encouraged him. "I know. You'll succeed. No need to rush. In the original story, Ada would definitely manifest the ring That's when he'd join the Duke's Knights, and it would be time for her to go. Hearing that it wasn't going well, she felt a bit of relief. Because I want to stay by your side just a little longer.